then heaven must be alive.
Ugh. This Naivete is so poisonous, it will kill me faster than the Grim Reaper can. I see you! You better run! Okay, so the annual extermination in Hazbin Hotel. We all know what that is. Sinners who are crowding the Pride Ring to the point of it basically bursting get killed by angel blades to reduce the population. This causes the permanent death of sinners, which is significant given the fact that sinners are actually immortal in hell. Not invulnerable, that has to actually be stressed. So they either come back to life when they're killed by normal means, or simply just don't die at all. They just accumulate damage over time. That damage shows up as white spots where the injuries had occurred. Now then, we have Charlie Morningstar, the daughter of Lucifer, trying to offer sinners a path to redemption through a more humane method instead of genocide. So far, so good. We agree that genocide is definitely wrong. But here's the major issue. Everyone and their grandmother seems to think that this lady right here is evil, elitist, and pretentious. But here's the thing, she's right. Yeah, I know, shocking, but hear me out. When it came down to the trial, Charlie didn't make her case. If we remember, the event was not about if Asterions could be improved in hell, but instead, something else entirely.
I'm sorry, but this court finds that there is no evidence souls in hell can be redeemed.
And that's a reasonable thought process. Charlie came into the trial without evidence and hoped that Angel Dust's progress, his improvement, might count as redemption, but it doesn't. The reason is pretty simple. The way this universe's cosmic rules seem to be set up is that when a person dies, based on their actions and choices, they either go to heaven or hell, which is pretty straightforward. The issue is that most humans end up in hell because of some really awful stuff they did on Earth or things that they accidentally enabled to happen on Earth. Let's make this a bit more stark, shall we? Do you know how many humans have existed on Earth since the beginning? That's about 500 billion. Now, while we don't have an exact heaven to hell ratio in this universe, we can infer from other universes and theological concepts that it's often around a 10% to 90% split. That's a lot of people burning and making life miserable for each other. This, of course, would seem incredibly cruel and evil at first if this was controlled by one side or the other. Yet, if you pay attention, it becomes incredibly clear that heaven doesn't actually control the afterlife system, and neither does hell. Think about what Sarah said.
We know when a soul arrives. We know when they pass divine judgment. It is our job to ensure these souls are safe.
And when you look back, that's exactly what happens with Sir Pentious.
What? Where am I? Oh. Hello?
This moment, likely seen as a contradiction to Sarah's dogma, was actually the realization of something that so many people had missed. That it's not something heaven or the elder angels determine where souls go. It's the souls themselves that do, by the choices that they made while alive and while dead. Which brings us to the real question. Why was Sir Pentious able to be redeemed? Well, first off, he's nothing special, so let's just throw that out there right now. He's just another sinner. But when we look at the rules that Adam threw out for someone to get into heaven, just off the top of his head, you start to notice something interesting. Rule 1, act selflessly. Rule 2, don't steal. Rule 3, stick it to the man. Well, I mean, let's be entirely honest, outside of Rule 3, which feels oddly personal, the others actually make sense. They're about acting morally, doing what's right for others and not just yourself. And before Sir Pentious died, he demonstrated all of these traits. He sacrificed himself to protect his friend. He didn't steal when he had the chance. And yes, he did stick up to the man, but again, that rule's a little bit debatable. Still, that's not the key point here. What enables Sir Pentious to reach heaven is actually how he died. There's been this lingering question in the back of my mind ever since this happened, and maybe yours too. How exactly were the redeemed supposed to reach heaven? Did Charlie expect the pearly gates to descend and beam them up? Did she expect angels to come down and escort them? Or a magical portal just to suck them in? No, none of that actually makes any sense. The answer has always been death. It is a transformative process by which human souls become sinners or even winners. It is the bridge of the afterlife. Why would redemption work any differently for someone who's already dead? If you know your actions determine the way you would go, and you knew it, and there was like some type of cosmic point system, then doing good things just to score points doesn't really count. You're supposed to do good things without expecting a reward. Your motivation should be about helping others, of being kind, and that's how you earn it. Sir Pentious' sacrifice and his choices since he joined the Hazbin Hotel are what enabled him to be redeemed. But without dying, without burning away the old self, he couldn't ascend into his new life. So, how did he do it? When sinners are killed by ordinary means, they come back. But when they're killed by angelic weapons, it's permanent. No soul has ever regenerated from that, at least as far as we're aware. But what if each time a sinner dies, their soul undergoes a reevaluation? Maybe each death is another chance for judgment, a second, third, fourth, umpteenth chance. wants an opportunity to change. And every time they failed, they returned to hell, damaged, white-spotted, and worn down. But for Sir Pentious, he wasn't killed by an angelic weapon. He was vaporized by Adam's divine light beam. That gave him the cosmic reevaluation he needed. He was judged again, and this time he passed. Now, maybe this is possible even with those who have been killed by angelic weapons, only they failed the reevaluation and they are permanently destroyed. That would make sense, actually. Because you see, in Christian theology, which this universe loosely draws from, there's actually one major component that's actually missing: purgatory. Purgatory is the final purification, a place where those souls who have died in God's grace are still sent when they still require some cleansing before they can enter heaven. It's a temporary purifying state, unlike hell, which is supposed to be eternal. But historically, purgatory has sometimes been associated with the outer rings of hell, essentially that of the first ring. And when it comes to Hazbin Hotel, all the sinners are where precisely? The pride ring, the first, the smallest, and most isolated of them all. It made me believe that this entire system has been set up for redemption in mind, to send sinners to the pride ring so that they might reflect, improve, and ascend to heaven. But there's a bit of a problem. Due to that lack of self-motivation to improve, redemption seems impossible. Heaven becomes something distant, not because it's barring the way, but because no one believes that they're actually worthy of reaching it. No one has actually ever tried, and they accepted their fate. Even if they don't actively say so, something in the back of their minds makes them think that way, and they choose it again and again and again, trapping themselves in their own little cycle. As a result, hell becomes overcrowded, overburdened, overflowing with guilt, regret, denial, apathy, and yes, even malice. It became what it was never meant to be: a prison. Now granted, of course, it's supposed to be a prison for Lucifer and all the fallen angels, but for human souls, it's not supposed to be a prison. And when that happened, when too many souls piled up and stagnated, heaven, afraid of what those souls could do, responded with fire and extermination. Because deep down, they know what's coming. There is a war that will happen between heaven and hell. We've seen the signs in Hell of a Boss. We've heard the whispers. And there's something bigger on the horizon. It could be Rue. It could be anything. But even Sarah hinted at that as well. Yet, with all that, in the center, you have Charlie Morningstar, trying to find a solution before anyone's ready to actually understand the question. Because in the end, heaven isn't the shining kingdom of mercy we imagined. It never has been. It isn't filled with goody little two-shoes saints with harps and halos.
I thought angels were supposed to be guardians. Fluffy wings, halos, Michael Landon. Not dicks.
Read the Bible. Angels are warriors of God.
Heaven is a part of the system, so is hell. And systems, no matter how divine they may seem, are only as good as the beings who run them. That's why hell feels forever. Not because it has to be, but because people choose it to be. That's why the naivete of Charlie and Emily is so poisonous. Not because it's malicious, oh hell no, but because it's simplistic. It's easy. It's a comfort blanket made of dreams stitched together with black and white morality. And everyone loves that blanket. Everyone wants to believe in that dream, where things are just simple. It's easier to believe in hope than to admit that you failed to change, that you've given up, that you chose to stop. And people will always judge the good more harshly than the bad, because good reminds them of what they could be. The bad, on the other hand, lets them stay as who they are, to stew in their own wretchedness. But I'll tell you something. Just like in all things, it is your choices. Not heaven's, not hell's, not Charlie's, not Adam's, not Lucifer's, not even God's, but yours. Your choices, and those are the choices around you that shape the world that you live in. Do you hate how you're treated? Do you feel like nothing can be done? That is doubt talking. And that is the same apathy which enabled hell to become the way it is in Hazbin Hotel. And as a result, that thought process is wrong. Just as Lute and Adam were wrong. Just as Charlie and Emily were wrong. That's why these lyrics,
If hell is forever, then heaven must be a lie.
they are a lie. It is a sweet lie, a comforting lie, but one that rots everything.